小伙伴们，大家好啊！欢迎来到水子哥的《博德之门3》游戏流程。我们本期视频将回去交任务了，就是这个哈尔辛我们也救了，难民也救了，对吧？我回去交任务了。先找塞夫洛。塞夫洛现在在上面是吧？我们等一会儿啊。已经直接对话了。
We might escape this place yet, and I hear you are the one to thank. I'm grateful. I took a collection from all of us. It isn't much, but you've earned it.
那这个解救难民，我们要这个装备啊。
It's not enough, but it's all we.
那个头还挺好的。
Likely want to thank you too, mind. He returned just a while ago. I believe he's catching up with Korga. As for us...
No armies at our heels. Amazing. We can finally leave. But perhaps we need not speak of farewells. We'll join your camp tonight to celebrate if you'll have us.
先别急着去营地啊，别急着跟他去营地。然后他是给了这个东西。 啊，给了一些这个帽子，这帽子还不错的。瓦皮拉的皇冠，治疗他人使装备者恢复1到6的生命值。然后给影心带着。我得把身上清一下了，这个身上东西太多了。然后这边呢，就是这个摩尔，他知道把东西偷了啊，你把那个神像偷了。 但不知道是谁偷的。这箱子里面可能会有一些，有的会有营地服饰啊，大家自己拿一下。但是营地服饰都是一样的，我就懒得拿了啊。有的这里面还有一些钱，像这里的都可以随便拿啊。我也懒得搜刮了。我这边清理一下包裹啊。另外呢，就是商人这边。 会有一些加2的甲卖了啊，这些加2的虽然是商店货，但是总比身上好啊。好了，我来清理一下包裹。另外呢，就是像我们武器上有些加1的，注意看一下，它虽然没有特殊效果，但是它的技能不一样，大家看到没？它有不同的技能，有一些特殊技能。比如说这个锤子也是啊，还有一个这个。 这个是一般特殊武器上也算一个特殊的啊，所以要注意一下。想收集的小伙伴就要留下来，别急着卖了。然后这时候像这里啊，很多东西已经都可以搜刮了啊，不过有部分还是可能是红的，然后也可以等他们完全走了之后啊，然后你再把这些搜刮掉啊。 好，我们找大多鲁伊对话去了。
You took it upon yourself to undertake the Rite of Thorns. I ought to exile you from this place forever. Instead, I shall listen to the explanation that you owe me.
An error, most grave master. I beg your grace.
Grace is bestowed by nature, not me. You will stay as a novice anew. You have forgotten the ways of the Druids, the natural order of things. It is up to you to prove the lessons have been learned once more.
So as you say. And so it is done, master.
A misjudgment. One that should weigh heavily upon her. But the Grove still needs her passion. You will soon see why. But enough of that for now. I owe you my thanks. The Grove stands. Nature prevails. And again, I am in your debt. Speak to Wrath. He will reward you for your efforts. Tomorrow morning, we shall discuss what is to come.
In the shadows. Miss Sylvanas, forgive me.
At least you recognize your mistake.
好，我们 这个任务更新了，一个找塞夫洛交谈，一个是营地庆祝。这个我们先找纳斯聊一聊。
Those tieflings brought nothing but trouble.
这边纳斯知道我们，他东西没了，挺有趣的啊。这个任务奖励是给狼之符文啊。
No, thanks is not enough. May Sylvanus bless you for all your days. I cannot imagine taking on a camp full of goblins was a simple task. As am I. The grove will be whole again. And I promised you a reward, didn't I? Where is the rune? My apologies. It seems to have been taken. Forgive me. I can only offer my gratitude and pray Sylvanus protects you on your journey.
他的眼睛往下瞄了一眼啊，他知道是我们偷的。啊，我们准备去营地庆祝啊！营地庆祝不知道这次能不能跟，应该和影星能不能共度夜晚的话，估计好感还没到，估计要再往后了，因为上次已经经历过一次了，估计这次得跟别人了。我们去找塞夫洛先。
We're ready to head to your camp. Are you? Excellent.
保存一下，今天晚上的这个庆祝呢，应该会选一个队友，然后共度夜晚啊。我先跟影星对话去看有没有，没有就算了，因为我们还有个网罗任务没完成啊，待会把网罗任务给它完成。
Everyone seems to be in high spirits. Strange. You know who I never thought I'd find myself caring for? I think you'll find I've been showing ample concern for myself since the moment we met. I mean, desperate people, like those refugees. Never gave them much thought. Certainly not that bunch in the grove. Yet we came through for them. We saved their lives. Odd. That's more easily said by some than others. But nobody's here to debate right from wrong. We should have had wine more often. More warming than the fire. We should have had wine.
哦，没了，那应该跟他不能共度夜晚了。
You know, I never pictured myself
他
as
身
a
上的
hero.
血怎么还
Never
在啊？
thought I'd be the one they'd toast for saving so many lives. And now that I'm here, I hate it. This is awful. We killed some goblins to save some tieflings. The tally of lives didn't change much. But what do I get for all my hard work? A pat on the head and vinegar for wine. Pfft.
It's a heavy, rich red, dry and sharp.
See what I mean? Awful. All I want is a little fun. Is that so much to ask? By the hells. Sex, my dear. A night of passion.
哎，说那么直白吗？
Things quieten down. Once the others are asleep, we'll find each other.
这可以直接找他，哎，找他吧。对他没兴趣，给你给气了。
Indeed you will, my love. Indeed you will.
因为我回档了，我这边好像第三件我之前应该是第三件魔法物品给大家展示过了吧？我觉得我回档了，所以我这边没有那个做掉。
This might be the wine talking, but I'm feeling inspired. Thinking of writing my next song about you. But I need an angle. Any ideas? After Elturel, I think you're right. Faerun deserves to see us as we really are.
Hope you're enjoying the night, hero. I certainly...
We get along quite well, I think.
I have seen the Kithraki tear a screaming Neogi's legs from its belly to fashion into blades. Yet, they could not match your nerve today. It was enough to drive me to madness.
I smell their blood on you still. I smell your moisture. How torturous for us both that I'll never get a taste.
Oh, but do enjoy yourself this night. I intend to myself. Will looks particularly tempting.
Somebody...
这个摩尔刚刚说他知道偷那个神像了，他已经知道了，不知道后续会影响什么剧情吗？那瓦罗不要给他看，不要给他弄眼睛就好了啊。
I'll just make myself comfortable. Thank you so much. I was just settling in and reviewing my latest findings. Mind flayers, cultists, and, of course, your esteemed company. Why, I'm practically an expert. They've tentacles, you know. Quite shocking. The druid Halson had some kind of mind flare specimen in a jar in his quarters. A replica, no doubt, but truly fascinating to see up close. Here, on the Sword Coast. Impossible. That can't be. You're mad. But tell me, have you noticed any residual psionic malaise since the alleged encounter? That's quite impossible. You'd have undergone ceramorphosis by now. I can't attest to the specifics, but I do know that not long after insertion, the host, that's you, turns into a mind flayer. As there's not a tentacle on your head, I can only assume you haven't been infected. If what you say were true, you'd be a mind flayer by now. You? Infected by a mind flayer? Ridiculous. Isn't it? Perhaps that's for the best. I'd be irresponsible not to debunk such a strange claim. If I just peer in your eye, I could quickly... Oh, dear sweet gods! I mean, yes. I suppose I can. I'll need to research the particulars, however. Give me a bit of time, and I'll have this little issue sorted.
好，解决网络任务完成。这个给一个衣服，慈善外套。当你使用诗人基地来鼓舞一位盟友时，你会获得4点临时生命值。这个就是后面他说了要让你他看什么东西是吧？这个可以不给他看啊。看了眼睛上好像会有个 debuff 啊。但是那个 debuff 是什么属性我不记得了，然后大家自己可以尝试一下，但是我不想要。好像也有加成是吧？知道的小伙伴可以说一下。
There's that confidence I like.
I thank you for seeking me out. Amid all this merriment, I wasn't sure we'd have a chance to speak this evening. I was hoping you'd spare me a moment. There was something rather magical I wish to show you.
More's the pity you've already found someone else to make merry with. Just the two of you. He has a certain charm about him, Astarion. Then again, so does a tiger when it purrs. Far be it from me, of course, to question your tastes. That, my friend, must remain a secret for now. Or rather, for as long as you've eyes only for someone else among our troop. Another night, perhaps.
Aha! There you are! Come! I do hope you have partaken of something bracing. Why, you're naming, quite obviously. That ballad was but a crude preview, a frame without its crowning jewel. Your nom de guerre. Something iconic, but not too much of a mouthful. We don't want to exclude the common folk, after all. I intend this tale to enrapture all. A wonderful one indeed. But your deeds loom larger than life now, my friend. You simply must have a title to match. Exactly wrong, my friend. I urge you to leave the fact-finding to experts, Now, back to your revels. I have some details of your victory to rearrange. Oh, wait.
I see. All right. Hearts a-quiver. Raised our bows.
Sherry! Or...
Poetic stuff.
I need to... No.
But we were brave.
Patience? Have you no respect for showmanship?
Having performance issues, Roland?
Hush you, and behold! Adoring applause? You're too kind.
Remember when he could barely cast that?
They grow up so fast.
Never have I met such troglodytes. Now, pass the wine.
Think of it. No more caves. We'll be... And you magicked up a kitten.
Look at them all. Guzzling poison like we've the right to be happy. Perhaps it'll make the evening more tolerable.
我们找威尔对一个话啊。
Ah, hells. I was hoping you wouldn't notice I was gone. No. I'm deeply proud of you. A touch less so of myself. In truth, I don't feel in a festive mood, and I didn't want to cast a grey cloud over the night. These people are still in danger. Karlak, the creature from hell, will still threaten them, as will 1,000 other perils. They aren't ready to get on the road on their own. You're good at it. You've given me some just by being here. But, off with you. This is your day. Have a dance. Enjoy the music. I'm afraid my feet are firmly planted to the ground this evening. Some time alone beneath the stars, and I'll be back to my old self. Promise. Still, it's a night to remember. You've made sure of that. Have a laugh. Make some noise.
好，我们找哈尔辛对他话，然后再找塞夫洛对话就好了。
Go on now. Don't waste a night like this talking to me. We'll discuss your problem tomorrow. In truth, I rarely imbibe. The stuff goes right to my head. Before you know it, I'd be breaking into song or declaring love to the first person I laid eyes on. Then you have never heard me singing, which makes you very fortunate. I'm sure there are. You strike me as extremely resourceful. But there are many grateful people here who want to spend time with you. I must not keep you all to myself, as enjoyable as that may be. Go on, enjoy yourself. Seek out some wine before it runs dry. There are a lot of thirsty people around here.
好的，我们去找塞夫罗对话了啊！其实瓦罗这边啊，他也卖一些东西。哎，现在好像点不了啊，刚刚能点啊，但是没事，他一直会在你营地里面啊。哎，这个我看看他。哦，他也是个商人标志嘛。好，保存一下和塞夫罗对话了。 然后应该就晚上就结束了。
You have no idea how good it feels to see these people smiling. The singing we could probably do without, but even so, thank you. Go on, do your rounds. But if they hand you something purple, don't drink it.
Enjoy yourself tonight.
啊，没了是吧？我自己结束哈。
Buzz of celebration quiets to a soothing hum as you approach your bunk. Though you seek repose, you needn't spend the night alone. There is one who yearns for you in the dark. Who will you seek?
这里不知道可以一起攻略吗？选阿斯代伦可以吗？
Your heart skips a beat. What treasures might this night bestow?
There you are. I've been waiting. Waiting since the moment I set eyes on you. Waiting to have you. Don't I? You're here. And I don't think you want to talk. I think you want to be known, to be tasted. What do any of us want? Pleasure. Yours, mine, our collective ecstasy. That's what you want, isn't it? To lose yourself in me. I thought so.
还好我是开的那个啊，没有漏损啊。
It's a poem. A gift from my old master, Cazador. He considered himself quite the artist and used his slaves as a canvas. He composed and carved that one over the course of a night. He made a lot of revisions as he went. Infernal? Who knows? The bastard was insane. Anyway, enough pillow talk. Let's go before the tieflings drag us into another mess.
I trust you enjoyed your evening. After all your efforts, it was well deserved. It may be some time before you're afforded another such night. There is much to be done, and I promised I would help you however I could. I'm certain a cure for you can be found at Moonrise Towers, but it's complicated. The journey specifically, it's extremely perilous, though it seems you're well accustomed to navigating danger.
I suppose it was too much to hope we were going to be cured here and now. To Moonrise, then.
To get to the towers, you'll need to pass through a terrible place. A cursed place. This curse shrouds everything in shadow. You will not find life, light, or anything natural there. Any who linger are twisted by the curse. They become shadow beings, tormented, dangerous souls. You're half right. You have to get to Moonrise, but you still have a choice of how to get there. You could go overland, along the Risen Road or through the mountains. Easier at first, but you'll run into the Shadow Curse eventually. You could also go under. There is a tunnel somewhere in the ruined Temple of Selûne. It leads to Moonrise Towers through the Underdark. Long ago, a man called Ketheric Thorm built a secret stronghold deep down there, before rallying a whole army of Dark Justiciars, Shah worshippers.
Dark Justiciars? I must see for myself.
Aradin and his lot were looking for a way down there. They were promised riches if they retrieved a relic called the Night Song. But I think there's more. From this stronghold, Ketheric's forces could access both the Temple of Selûne and Moonrise Towers. But he was defeated before he could launch an attack. If you can find this place, I'll wager it will reveal a more direct path to Moonrise Towers. And maybe even bypass the worst of the Shadow Curse. Already? If only I'd gone with you instead of Aradin. I would like to join your camp, if you'll allow me. I can offer my skills, my counsel. I've long sought to return to Moonrise Towers. It seems our fates have aligned. I've chosen a successor as first druid, Francesca of the High Forest. A bird's already been dispatched to summon her. Precisely. Who indeed? You do not know, and neither do any of the others. The Grove needs to move beyond the mistakes of the past. What it needs is an unknown quantity. An outsider who can enforce the Oakfather's teachings without bias. This is why I chose Francesca. She will restore simplicity and purity to the Grove in my absence. Contrary to how some think of us, we druids can play politics when necessary. Now, we've quite the journey ahead. Best get started.
好，这些任务都完成了，我们接到前往月苏之塔，但是这个还没完成啊。但是我们还要去地下，所以不着急。这个应该是给大家展示过了吧？对啊，这个啊，看了一遍展示过的啊，然后把队友最近所有的对话全部对话一遍啊。对话前保存一下，万一有什么选项选错了，降好感了，可以再读个档。
What's on your mind? Ah, yes, Karsus. Karsus was perhaps the most powerful wizard that ever lived. The child who would be a god, the elves called him. And he tried. With a spell of his own devising, he endeavored to usurp in one fell swoop the power of the goddess of magic. Mistral, she was called then. Imagine what it must have felt like. To be a god. To know yourself, to be untouchable. To be mistaken. As Karsus aimed his spell at her, she began to unravel. And with her, the entire weave. Too late did he realize what he had unleashed. It would have been the end of everything had not Mistral sacrificed herself. The goddess of magic is all magic. By dying, the entire weave was lost, and the spell that challenged a god failed. It was the end of Mistral. The end of Karsus, and the end of an entire civilization. As the child who would be a god was turned to stone, his empire came crashing down around him. The floating cities of Netheril were no more. An event that came to be known as Karsus's folly. For a spell, Mistral was reborn as Mistra. Upon her return, the weave returned with her. Now, so many centuries later, I try to follow in the footsteps of Karsus. Not to destroy Mistra, but to prove my love for her. Try to control only a fraction of the magic that was unleashed that fateful day. I merely sought to return one tiny diamond to an imperfect crown. Gale's folly, one might call it. History, repetition. It's the way things go. If it should ever come to that, if I ever know I am no longer able to stop it, I will do anything I can to ensure no one but me pays for my mistakes. I will find the remotest place on the surface of Faerun, or perhaps far below in the depths of the Underdark. I will await that death, alone. I promise I will not betray your trust. You kept me by your side despite the menace that I am. If worst comes to worst, I will be long gone before the curtain falls.
好，我们再找其他人对下话，看看瓦罗这边他有没有那个什么后续了。
Ah, my good fellow. Quite the cozy setup you have here. I'll just make myself comfortable. Thank you so much.
我已经保存了，可以看看瓦罗那个搞的那个 buff。
Turned up a rather brilliant technique that seems quite actionable. It's not too deep, just behind the orbital socket. I could attempt an extraction. I've a needle in my tunic after all.
我们来看一下啊，反正保存了。
I assure you, I've dreamt of it 1,000 times over.
如果这边不想要，就点离开或者是不能相信就行了。
Volo carefully holds one of your eyes open and begins to prod uncertainly with the needle. The needle finds the gap between eyeball and socket. Volo frowns and begins to push. Pain shoots through your body as the needle snags on your optic nerve.
I think I have it!
The needle seesaws back and forth, plucking the nerve like a harp string.
Oh, bother. There's some obstacle in the way. I shall need a more robust implement.
Volo carefully withdraws the needle from your eye. Then, reaching into his bag, he produces an ice pick. Volo slowly brings the ice pick closer to your eye.
Now, don't move.
Cold metal presses against the skin beneath your brow. And then, tap, tap, stab.
Do you feel that? Ha! I think we have the blighter on the run. I agree. It's a feisty critter. Just a little further.
Volo tears the pick from your brain with a violent jerk. Your eye plops down into the mud.
Drat.
He pauses, looks down at your eye, and recoils slightly as it sinks into the mud.
There appears to be an amount of cosmetic damage. Please, try not to overexert yourself. You're in a rather fragile state at present. I can't help but feel partly responsible. Perhaps there is something more I can do. Take this. A far superior relic to that old jelly you were chained to. Try it on for size. And, it was very nice to have met you. I'm sure you'll sort out your little brain problem one way or another. Far away from here, if you've a heart. Terribly sorry, my friend. Ta.
然后他就跑了。啊，然后这边有一个识破隐形，可以看见9米范围内隐形的生物，生物必须通过一次敏捷或免检定，否则隐形状态就消失。眼睛变成了一个跟那个威尔一样的眼睛，就是能识破隐形了，一直有的，但是我以为是 debuff 呢，结果是 buff 是吧？但是我并不想有。啊，我真的并不想有这个，影响自己的 颜值。然后我这边跟他选择不那个啊。然后我觉得还是不能听信你一面之词。你都啊，不管他了啊。哎，他一直就会在这吗？还会再问这个吗？我就不要。跟其他人对话对话。
Speak. So I did, and he wanted only to talk. You both lack imagination. Eye to eye with bliss, and you choose banality in its stead.
A private word would be nice.
I suppose you want to hear about Cazador. My old master. Before the Mind Flayers took me from him. Before this strange, twisted freedom. Cazador Zar is a vampire lord in Baldur's Gate. The patriarch of his coven, and a monster obsessed with power. Not political power or military power, I mean power over people. The power to control them completely. He turned me nearly 200 years ago. I became his spawn, and he became my tormentor. A vampire's spawn is less than a slave. They're a puppet. We have no choice but to obey our master's commands. They speak, and our bodies react. It's all part of the deal. Sometimes he'd order us to submit to torture. Sometimes he'd have us torture ourselves. Whatever his weather-vane mood settled on. Thank you. But this isn't about sympathy. It's about knowing what we might be up against. The Mind Flayers aren't the only monsters out there. They're not even the only ones hunting us. All I'm asking is that you keep your eyes open and watch out for anything lurking in the shadows. What more could I ask? Now, is that all?
哦，还有好多剧情我都没点啊，我们一个个看吧。
What's to tell? I was sired by a vampire named Cazador. Everything before that is so long ago it's ancient history. And everything that came after, well, I'd rather not reflect on it. I was a magistrate, working to keep the peace in Baldur's Gate, imprisoning troublemakers, that kind of thing. I can't remember much, truth be told. Centuries of torment will do that to you. I was attacked. A gang of vagrants, a tribe of wandering Gur, took issue with a ruling I'd made. They beat me to death's door when Cazador appeared. He chased them off and offered to save me, to give me eternal life. Given that my choices were eternal life or bleed to death on the street, I took him up on the offer. It was only afterwards I realized just how long eternity could be. Why do you... I was asleep, obsessed, but now... I've been conveniently lost. It's simple. Just in theory, the next step is to drink their blood. Once you've done that, you're free.
为什么感觉我刚刚问过这个？
True vampire. People think the biggest threat to a vampire. The biggest threat to a vampire. So why would any vampire give up control? Trust me, it doesn't happen. We can't. And yet I crossed the threshold like moonlight through leaves. This worm is a powerful little beast, isn't it?
不好意思，看一下这个刚刚讲的什么。OK，
Don't be so
太多了，我以为。
Look at the power it's bringing us. I can walk in sunlight, trespass upon any home, manipulate minds. There isn't another vampire in the realms like me. Granted, the looming doom is an issue, but why not enjoy the benefits while we can? Not anymore. Which is all that matters, really. I didn't do anything. I was kidnapped, just like you. It seems Cazador wants me back. It was him, I'm sure. Only he would know to send the Gur after me. It was a group of Gur that attacked me that night in Baldur's Gate. I would have died had Cazador not appeared and saved me. Well, he didn't mention the slave clause at the time. And now he sends a Gur monster hunter for me. It's a message. He's reminding me of his power. Even in the middle of nowhere, he can reach me. And he wants me back. Maybe he wants to make an example of me, to show what happens to runaways. Or maybe he thinks death is too good for me. Aha! Safe! You think I'm safe? Do you know the power a vampire lord possesses? He can change shape, turn into mist, call walls to do his bidding, shrug off blows like they're nothing. He could walk into our camp tonight and kill you with his bare hands. And you'd be lucky if death was the worst thing that happened to you. First, we have to... I don't know. Well, if we kill his lackeys, he'll just send more. We just have to be vigilant, keep our wits about us, and kill any monster hunters on sight. Who knows? Drow? Mind flayers? Death? Hopefully not ours. But maybe answers, if we can convince the right people to talk. I won't lie. It's tempting. If I keep the tadpole, I risk transforming into a grotesque monster. If I lose the tadpole, Cazador has control of me, body and soul, and I return to the shadows. It's grim either way, so why not sell what's left of my soul to a devil? Better he has it than Cazador. Figuring out what's happening to us, confronting a god called the Absolute, and then finding time to kill my old master before he can control me once more? Yes, that's an option, but I wouldn't bet eternity on it. No innocence. You have my word. Only villains that we need to kill anyway. After all, you know what I am now. I can fight with all my weapons, teeth included. And if I happen to drain the occasional bandit during a fight, what's the harm? They're just as dead. As am I. I'm starting to feel a little peckish already.
哇，这个对话太多了，一度以为我点错了啊。这个是真的多。再找影星对个话。这期视频全是剧情。
Well, my day just improved. Did you want something? Quite the understatement, but yes, I have it. And I'll guard it with my life. I was part of a group sent by my cloister. We were to take the artifact from the Githyanki and bring it to Baldur's Gate, no matter the cost. Though it turned out the cost was very steep. I was the only one of the group to survive. I took the artifact and fled, only to be ensnared by mind flayers before I could finish the mission. That's all I know. That's all I need to know. I told you already. I surrendered my memories for the sake of the mission. Shah's secrets must be protected. Duty demands it. Once I fulfill my mission, I can have my memories restored.
这个选项我担心降好感，所以我存个档。这个。
How cynical. I should borrow that line sometime. But if I have to die, so be it. Like I said, faith. Wouldn't you be in my place? If there's even the slightest chance that Shah worshippers remain within our reach, we should try and find them. Even if they're all long gone, and that seems quite likely from what we know, who knows what they may have left behind for us to use? My people are nothing if not resourceful. As long as I've prayed to Lady Shah, I've wished to serve her as a dark justiciar. There is scarcely a greater way to fully dedicate yourself to Lady Shah, save perhaps if you become the head of her church. To become a dark justiciar is to become the Night Singer's sword arm, her implement with which she will cast down the unbelievers and win the final battle to restore her perfect, endless darkness. It's all I ever wanted. I prayed it was my calling. But Mother forbid me from seeking to prove myself worthy of the rank. She said I was not ready. Not my mother, I should add. The Mother Superior, head of Lady Shah's enclave in Baldur's Gate. Sometimes I wonder if she would ever deem me ready. I owe her everything, and I only wish to serve, yet she can prove inscrutable. I don't know. Perhaps if I succeed in my mission and reach Baldur's Gate. Hope has little place amongst Lady Shah's children. It's an illusion, a distraction. But for this, I hope my time will yet come. Dark Justiciars are hated by many, judged to be ruthless fanatics. Even the few who would accept a follower of Lady Shah would likely balk at a Justiciar in their midst. But there's a simpler answer to your question. I simply forgot about the desire I had until I saw some things that reminded me. Now, I can't get it out of my mind. Very serious of you. Always good when I'm with... Fine. What's on your mind? I suppose some would commend our actions. Goblins would have razed that whole place to nothing if it weren't for us. No excuse to rest on our laurels, though. We've still got our own problems to contend with. Quite splendidly, to give credit where it's due.
哦，终于把这剧情看完了。不对，还有威尔的啊。威尔，我刚刚对话呢嘛，我看一眼。然后还有德鲁伊这边，哈尔辛。
Well met. He brings to mind a story, an old fairy tale my father read to me. A farmer made a deal with the devil.
我怎么感觉这句话看过呢？
In exchange for the farmer's dearest fruit, naturally, we can learn a lot from fairy tales. Don't you think? Refuse him, no matter how tempting the offer, no matter how delicious the feast he lays out for you. That's because you still have hope. He'll require and then require. You might think you'd get, but the devil won't take just anything.
啊，跟哈尔辛说个话。
Oakfather's blessings to you.
哇！
I studied one up close. Closer than most would care to be to those things. A drow attacked me and I defended myself. Afterwards, I was able to examine the tadpole that emerged. Hideous, but fascinating. Like nothing else in nature, I'm glad to say. It's had the whole region around Moonrise Towers in a chokehold of darkness and despair for years now. Those who remained are shadow-cursed. If you don't die at their hands, then you become one of them. We have to get to Moonrise, but the less time we spend in its blighted surrounds, the better. Precious little, but I'm quite certain it can still be found.
Aradin was convinced there was a hidden entrance in the Temple of Selûne. I'd start there.
Those illithid creatures threaten the natural order. It's my duty to do what I can to stop them. There's also the Shadow Curse. It's an affront and must be cleansed. I helped overthrow Ketheric Thorm and his Dark Justiciars years ago, but I failed to prevent him from unleashing darkness across the region before he was defeated. If I can join you and get close to Moonrise, perhaps I can lift this curse, just as you find a cure for your infection. Well, there's hardly anyone left to share the responsibility with. Few who witnessed the fall of Moonrise still draw breath. What Ketheric Thorm unleashed is not something that nature can undo by itself. I must do what I can. I studied the Shadow Curse for years, but to truly understand it and stop it, I must reach its source.
Perhaps. But we'll need to get closer before I can put my theory into practice. Put it from your mind for now. Once we near the curse, then there will be more to be said.
Precisely. Then perhaps I could have done something about both the Shadow Curse and Ceremorphosis aberrations. But in my eagerness, I put far too much faith in the abilities of Aradin and his band. We didn't even get close.
There are few things that are too strong for me. And cast those regrets aside, You did not get caught up in the moment. You seized it. In other circumstances, I would have done the same. Perhaps. But best to not dwell on nights past. There are plenty more yet to come. With such stimulating company, never better.
哇，好了，这个剧情是真的多，这一次。就养鸡妹没什么剧情啊，仿佛生气了一样。哎，我去跟挠挠对个话。为什么挠挠这边怎么还没有剧情啊？摸摸它。没有。好了，小伙伴们，本期视频到这儿。这也就是这边就是完成救哈尔辛这个还有难民的所有剧情啊，其中有一部分是包含我之前长休没有点的剧情啊。好了，下期视频再见，拜拜。下期视频我们去今生之路了。